I was in massive debt, did not see any financial way out of it with my, my husband's in the military, I'm a teacher, and that's a finite amount of money that you can make. And so I was pregnant with my last child in 2013, got pretty sick, was on bed rest. Gave me a lot of insight to really review the past and where I was at. And I just had the thought, and this was probably key for me. I had the thought, as I was on bed rest, I didn't even honestly know the number of debt, except it was massive at that point. I couldn't even face like opening the millions of envelopes I had, all the things that I had to deal with. And so as I sat there and I was on bed rest and I felt stuck and hopeless and, was going to go back to a job I never really wanted to do. Well, I loved the kids. I did not like the job ever. And so I was turning 41 at that time and just going, how did this become my life? And so when I was thinking about that, I just finally changed the question to, well, what can you do right now in this bed, sitting here, super pregnant, bunch of kids running around, just waiting on, hoping I have enough for groceries and that kind of stuff. What can you do right now? And I didn't know what I could do right now. And so then the question became, what did you ever want to be? It wasn't this. Right. It wasn't this life. I loved my kids and my family side of it, but just being in this spot where I couldn't even go to the store and I'm just praying my debit card works, every time I'm in the grocery store, that wasn't the life I wanted to live. And so I went back and said, what are you going to do now? What I came up with was, hey, remember how I used to like real estate? When I was like 11, I saved my babysitting money, and I'm going to totally date myself, for a Carlton sheet system. You guys probably don't, you probably don't even remember who that is, but it was a guy on TV. He did infomercials from flipping houses. He would show ugly houses to good houses. And I was like, saved my babysitting money, got the system. And then I read it, but as a kid, it kind of made sense to me. Yeah, I got the cassettes and all that good stuff. Well, years later, I said, when I'm sitting on my bed, I said, well, you definitely wanted to do real estate. Is that something you could do? So I Googled it and I found out I could get my real estate license online. And I was like, cool. So I said, oh, you could do that. You could sit in your bed, super pregnant, super sick, and you could get your real estate license right here. So I did. And then I waited to have the baby because I couldn't do anything. So right after I had her, she was about 6 weeks old, I went and took my test. Didn't pass the first time because I didn't do any studying. But I went back, which at that time in 2014, it was a good while. Now you can take your test pretty quickly again. Yeah. I think it was like 2 or 3 months till I could get another appointment to take my test, which gave me even more time to think, what are you going to do with this time? How's this going to be, a much better time for you? So I did that. I went back and I took my test and I passed the second time, did some studying, and I was so excited, but I didn't know what to do with my license. I didn't even know any brokers. I didn't know any coaches. I didn't know anybody in this business at all. I didn't have any family in it. I ended up having one friend who, one of my children's friends' moms, connected with her. She was a broker, signed up with her. I was there for about a year. And she got me started on rentals. I'm spending my time showing people like they're buyers, but they're renters. Right. And I mean, I'm working my tail off. And at the end of the day, after her, the commission splits, I'm getting like $500. Right. And I'm like, this is not what I... for this. Right? Yeah, this is not what I wanted to do.
Especially with a license, right?
Yes. Oh and gosh. But that's where she, started me and I didn't know. And so then I went into buyers. And I showed, I didn't have boundaries with buyers back then. I remember having one buyer, one of my first buyers, I showed them 120 houses.
Wow.
For them to end up back at buying one of the first houses we saw.
That's a key word you brought up, boundaries.
Boundaries, huge, right? Learning as a new agent. Boundaries with your clients, boundaries with your brokerage, all that stuff. But I did what I was told back then because I didn't know any better.
And when most real estate gets started, including myself, we gravitate towards being that buyer's agent, right?
Absolutely.
And for me with real estate is when that whole paradigm shift was when I converted from a buyer's agent to a listing agent. You control the inventory when you're a listing agent, correct?
Didn't know any of that.